Last week, we began our series, Images of Easter, by joining Jesus with his apostles at the Last Supper. We continue our Lenten journey by following him on his road to Calvary, through the agony in the garden, to the betrayal by Judas, which leads to his arrest. First, he's brought to the Jewish high priest and put on trial by the religious leaders of the time. They find him guilty.
But guilty of what, Miss Kilbride?
They found him guilty of blasphemy.
Well, what is blasphemy?
A word that means insulting God. The Sanhedrin thought he insulted God by calling himself Son of God.
But he was the Son of God.
Exactly. So he was innocent, but they saw him as guilty because they didn't believe in him. Now, this is a crime worthy of death, but since their own laws prevented them from executing anyone, they had to bring Jesus before Pontius Pilate, the Roman head of state. That's what's portrayed in this painting entitled Ecce Homo, or Behold the Man. This was painted by Antonio Ciseri in 1871. Ecce Homo are the Latin words used by Pontius Pilate when he presents Jesus to the angry crowds that are gathered outside his palace.
There is a lot going on in this painting.
Yes, there is. Tell me some things that jump out at you, Mary.
Well, the first two people I see are Jesus and Pontius in the center.
That's right. Well, what do you notice specifically about Jesus?
Well, this must have been after the scourging because he's already wearing a crown of thorns.
Yes, it's a good observation. The description in Matthew 27 goes like this. Then the soldiers of the governor took Jesus into the praetorium and gathered the whole Roman cohort around him. They stripped him and put a scarlet robe on him, and after twisting together a crown of thorns, they put it on his head and a reed in his right hand. And they knelt down before him and mocked him, saying, "Hail, King of the Jews."
It's really a terrible scene.
Yes. What do you notice about the body language of Jesus?
Well, he seems very calm. I mean, his hands are behind his back and his head is down.
Yes, incredibly. There's a prophecy about this very scene written 2,000 years before it happened. It's in Isaiah. It says, "He was oppressed and afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. He was led like a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before its shearers is silent, so he did not open his mouth."
And Jesus is wearing a robe of red.
Yes, here we get into some very symbolic color. In religious paintings, many martyrs are shown wearing long red robes. Do you know what a martyr is, Mary?
Isn't it someone who dies for their faith?
Yes, that's right. So the color red is very symbolic. It can mean love, like in hearts and flowers, but it can also mean blood or sacrifice, like it does here.
So the Christian martyrs, who are shown in red, are symbolizing their love and their sacrifice for God.
Yes, that's right, exactly.
I also noticed some people on the right, but they're not soldiers. I wonder who they are.
Yes, let's do some detective work. What do you see in their hands?
Well, there's a man who's holding a scroll.
Yes, that's right. He's right next to Pontius Pilate. While the people on the left are the more military, they're looking very rough and they have weapons. The people on the right are part of Pilate's inner circle. The man in blue, he holds a scroll, and that's representing the sentence that they're about to put upon Jesus.
But who are the women?
Here we get to my favorite part of this painting. There's only one figure who faces us, and she moves out of the painting. Any guesses as to who she is?
Well, she is well dressed, and she seems to be in distress. She actually steadies herself on the other woman's shoulder.
Yes.
And the other woman gives her a hand of encouragement. But she seems very upset about what is going on.
Yes, she is. It's very, very significant when an artist paints someone facing you and facing away from the action. As an artist, I was always taught to paint everything toward the center of the painting in order to draw the viewer's eye towards what's happening, what you want them to see. But there's tension here. We want to look at Jesus, but we also are drawn to this woman who faces us, who leaves the scene.
Who is she, Miss Kilbride?
Matthew 27:19. While Pilate was sitting on the judgment seat, his wife sent him a message saying, "Have nothing to do with that righteous man, for last night I suffered greatly in a dream because of him."
So that woman is Pontius Pilate's wife?
Yes. Her name was Claudia, and she is the only person in this scene who has any inkling of who Jesus might be.
But no one's listening to her.
Yes, I picture that she stood in this room tempting to stop the horrible things about to happen, but it is at this moment that the crowd is winning and that her husband is about to sentence Jesus to death.
So God sent her the dream as a warning.
Yes, and amazingly, it all still happened the way that it did. Next week, we will follow Jesus up the hill of Calvary to the place of the crucifixion. But hopefully this gives us some idea of the turmoil and unfairness against Jesus and all he endured out of love for us.
Well, I certainly feel like I've been with him so far, and even with some of the other people in the paintings.
Good. I'll look forward to going even further next time.
Thank you very much, Miss Kilbride.
Thank you, Mary.